Offensive struggles. Offensive struggles have been the main theme for the Texans. I thought CJ Stroud's media availability was really interesting. He said a couple things, one thing right off the top, and then another thing a little later on involving Dalton Schultz. We'll get to that in a second. It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. Subscribe, like, ride along for the best Texans coverage in the country. The Texans return to the practice field today. They actually got a practice on Saturday as well. Let's hear from CJ Stroud, though. And this was one of the money quotes. And I think there's a number of ways to take it. And we'll discuss that after we hear it. Here was CJ Stroud's first quote, and a big one from the media availability this week amidst the offensive struggles.
Yeah, I think, for me, I try to, not only just make plays, but, try to take care of the football and, do the right things to, win the game. And, sometimes they go their way, sometimes they don't. So, that means a lot. And, I think I'm not just a game manager. I can be a game changer. And, sometimes it goes their way, sometimes it doesn't. And for me, I'm going to keep the swag and kind of just like what I told y'all last year, like Steph Curry can go for whatever, but he going to keep shooting. So, that's for me. I'm going to just keep shooting, keep trusting myself, keep trusting the talent God gave me. And, one of the biggest things, too, is my teammates trust me. Me and Dalton talked the other day, and, he has the utmost respect in me, and I have the utmost respect in him. And I needed to hear that, that just, the team still rallies behind me, and they still, want me to be at the helm and love me, through the thick and the thin. So, yeah, it feels good to, still have the backs of my teammate and, to be able to go out there on Sundays and do what I need to do to win the game.
All right, so there's a couple of interesting things about this CJ Stroud quote. Like when he says game manager, he's not a game manager. He's a game changer. Naturally, because Bobby Slowick is the easy target right now, rightfully so. People think, well, maybe that's about CJ Stroud and the way that he's being used. And much like Joe Mixon after the game said, we got to play to win, not play to not lose. A lot of people immediately pointed to Bobby Slowick. But the reality is CJ Stroud has not played as well as CJ Stroud expects to play. So it could also be looked at as kind of a confidence thing. And I think when he says that he had a conversation with Dalton Schultz, and I asked him about that conversation with Dalton Schultz, we'll hear what he had to say a little bit later on. It tells you, and this is what our eyes were telling us, and this is what we've been discussing, the ineffectiveness and the incompetence of this offensive line crushed the confidence of CJ Stroud to where he didn't trust himself. He didn't trust that the protection was going to be there. And even when it was there, he wasn't trusting it. And I think when you take the game manager comment, yes, you can connect everything to Bobby Slowick, but I also think it can be connected to CJ's confidence. We saw him in Green Bay throw his helmet down. We saw him last week say that he needed to start having fun. And then he says that Dalton Schultz had a conversation with him that needed to be had. So that goes back to the confidence as well. I think this offense, it's not just one thing, but it all circles back to the offensive line. But whether it's confidence, whether it's the way Bobby calls plays, whether it's Dalton Schultz speaking to him, I think this is interesting, and it's a good development for CJ Stroud. Let's hear some more from CJ Stroud talking about the loss to the Lions.
You take personal, when you don't have, the best game, particularly the play. But how did you approach this week and handling, how you critiqued yourself on Sunday?
I don't know. I would say I treat every week the same. It's football, man. It's NFL. People are good too, So I think you take 3 bad plays away, and then I play pretty good, and I make those plays, and you're either here or the zero, and I've lived this, this out before, and God was preparing me then for moments like this, and now I'm prepared. So it's all about how you respond. So I'm very excited for this week. Great opportunity, primetime game again, and ready to roll with my teammates and have fun. But yeah, it's all about how you respond.
CJ, what would it mean for you to have Nico back this week?
Yeah, it's huge. I'm very excited to have my guy back, and it's happy for him, to be back with the team and be a part of a locker room again. They're in solitude when they're injured. People are injured. They're on their own. So I'm glad that he's just able to be around the guys again and be able to do the sport that he loves to play.
I think Nico solves a lot of these problems. I think he helps the offensive line. I think he helps Stroud's confidence. And I don't want to simplify it to, they don't have Nico, so that's why the offense looks this way. This offense has been piss poor. There's no excuse to not score a touchdown in the second half of 4 straight games. But I do think Nico helps. What about Micah Parsons? We've seen CJ Stroud and Micah Parsons have a friendly rivalry. What about Micah Parsons? Here's what CJ Stroud had to say about that.
You've been able to talk to Micah about this matchup since what we've heard over the offseason about you guys with this game?
No, not yet. Yeah, I haven't talked to him. I probably talked to him pregame, but yeah, I'm super happy for him. He's back playing. Was praying for him. He reached out to me a couple weeks back, and he'll be one of my great friends, best friends for a long time. And this is going to be hopefully one of our many matchups. And I wish him the best, and I always wish him the best. So yeah.
They compete though. When I think of Micah Parsons and CJ Stroud, I think of that viral bike clip where they're arguing about whose bike's ugly and the cheese toast and all that. I think of Micah flipping the bike and CJ Stroud leaving. That's how I look at their relationship. They're trying to see who can eat the fastest. And he kind of said something. I mentioned that on Monday. He kind of said something at the end of the press conference about just their competitiveness.
Playing in this game now that maybe adds a little bit more fuel to the fire because of it is Texans versus Cowboys prime time. You guys with the whole conversations throughout the offseason?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's for other people to decide. I think he can say this too, but for me, it's all about executing and, taking it one play at a time and, not listening or worrying about him or just, the noise on the outside. It's about, our teams or his team. And, we want to be the leaders on our teams and lead us to victory. So, yeah, that's what I plan to do.
The friendship you guys have and watch some of this, even when you're in Japan, critiquing each other's sumo skills and just everything. How much is it a fun rivalry, almost like a brotherly rivalry?
Oh, yeah. I mean, to me, he's definitely a brother of mine and reminds me of my relationship with my brothers when I was growing up, just always messing with each other, always trying to one-up one another. And I had that relationship with my friends back home, too. And, I had my buddy there. He had his friend who came from home. And we all just kind of had a brotherhood when we left, So, yeah, man, I think, that all that stuff is fun. But, we'll both be locked in to win on Monday and, ready to, do our jobs to get a victory.
In addition to the obvious pass-catching, playmaking ability, what does Nico bring to the huddle with the way that he approaches the game and then the way that he kind of leads through his actions once you guys are on the field?
Yeah, man, he brings a seriousness, an intent, a discipline, just like a mindset that we ask for from everybody. And I believe that he has that personality to where he wants the hard coverage guy, he wants the hard routes to run, and he wants to make the hard plays. And when he gets the ball, he's dangerous. He's able to turn good into great, and he runs guys over. He does all these things that and D'Amico is definitely loves that. So. And he's the guy who's built for it, bodily wise. So he turns the whole team up from the defense to me to Tank to, he gets everybody juiced up to play hard. And, I definitely think that we've been missing that. And, it's great to have him back.
And the thing about this is I think right now the key to success for the Texans, and I still think the ceiling is high. It's going to be an elite defense, which when healthy, I think that's a strong possibility. We've seen them perform no matter what the situation is. It's going to be a three-headed monster. It's going to be the triplets. They are dependent on having Nico Collins, CJ Stroud, and Joe Mixon. And Nico and Mixon, they've only played one game together. We haven't seen them play two complete games together. So it's going to be that three-headed monster. It's going to be the defense. That's the key, which, hey, you could be relying on a lot worse things. I asked CJ about the meeting with Dalton Schultz. I'm going to try to ask Dalton about this as well. At practice. But here was what CJ had to say about his conversation that he said he needed with Dalton Schultz, as well as a follow-up on leaning on veterans.
In the conversation with Dalton, was it just like a reassurance type of conversation?
No, I wouldn't say it was reassurance. I mean, for me, I always know who I am. If I throw 100 picks in the game, I'm going to keep swinging and keep shooting. That expectation that I have and people have on me is just like that LeBron commercial, if you didn't have it, then that's a problem. So I love the expectations that I have. And, from this point, I feel like I've been answering those things with, the cards I've been dealt. And, I don't complain. I show up to work every day and I have fun. This is something that the Lord has blessed me with and I delight in it. And, I think that conversation was just brothers you know, just like it says in Proverbs 27 and 17, as iron sharpens iron, so does another man sharpen another. So we were just sharpening one another, you know. So I helped him, he helped me, and you know that's what the Miko preaches, is what our culture is just, you know, leaning on one another and, you know, being together through the thick and thin of things.
Is it nice having you're taking on all these expectations and you have veterans that you can kind of lean on in the locker room? Is it that kind of nice to have?
For sure, yeah. I've you know been able to lean on a lot of guys. You know, we brought guys in like Devin White has been somebody who I've leaned on. Petrie, you know, being another young guy, but he's a leader to me. Z's, you know, there's a ton of guys, especially too on the offense as well. But there's a lot of guys, you know, who help the young dudes out. Because, you know, for me, like, it's still my second year. You know, I'm still, you know, I wouldn't say I'm new, but, like, you know, I'm still fresh to a lot of things and haven't played in a lot of stadiums. Like, today I asked Joe how it is to play in Dallas, you know. So, like, there's still questions I have to ask. And, you know, I'm not too good or, you know, too bad or, you know, too big-headed to ask these questions. And I have brothers right there to help me when I do have these.
And I think that's a nice balance for CJ Stroud to be able to take on the pressure of being the leader of a franchise and having veterans that you can lean on that produce on the field. Dalton Schultz, really, you wonder if Nico Collins opened stuff up for Dalton Schultz. The production hasn't been there, but those are the guys he can lean on, and obviously he's the face of the franchise. But the interesting thing here is game changer, not game manager, and the fact that Dalton Schultz kind of revived his confidence. It's been hard for this team to get it going on offense. Maybe Nico Collins solves a lot of things. The three-headed monster, again, I think is what you rely on. And obviously, you're only going to go as far as CJ Stroud eventually takes you. And you had D'Amico Ryan say CJ Stroud is the reason we are where we are. So that could work a number of ways. Big opportunity the next few weeks. You're an 8-point favorite against the Cows. You're an 8-point favorite against the Titans. You're going to have the Jags as well. They're a lost cause. So you have an opportunity heading into the bye to perhaps even clinch the division. But it's always interesting to hear from CJ, and we'll see how he plays. Nico Collins is definitely not going to hurt. We'll try to get to the perspective of Dalton Schultz at practice. Texans back on the field, and then Monday Night Football up 45 against the Cowboys. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans digital content. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texans stuff, we're all in it together.
Yeah.